My first car was a 1985 Chevy Z28 Camaro. Oh, that thing was great. It was, I can't even describe what shade of blue it was. It was just the perfect shade of blue. The paint was peeling, had a dent in the passenger fender, but the guy I bought it from had done some work to it. It had a Chevy 350 bored 60 over with a bunch of go fast parts in it. It did about 12 and a half. I think the fastest time it ran was 12.6 seconds in the quarter mile. And it just had that low-p sound that it was every teenager's dream. I bought it in January of 2008, and I had just got a new job at the time working in a lumberyard, and my mom co-signed on a loan for it. I paid $4,500 for it, and it had no air conditioning, no heat. Well, it had heat, but the fan motor didn't work, so the hot air just didn't go anywhere. And the heater valve had gone on it, so he used a plumber's pipe with a shut-off valve going to the heater so it wouldn't leak all over the passenger floor pan. I can't even think of stories, but there was it had a four-speed automatic with a Hurst dual gate shifter, perfect for drag racing, and it shifted hard. I would get a fourth gear scratch pulling onto the highway with the speedometer buried because it only went up to 85. It had a fiberglass aftermarket hood on it that just looked amazing. The little louvers in the side of it they were all punched out, which wasn't the best idea considering it rains a lot in Kansas. When I bought it in the winter, I drove it every day. That thing got 12 miles a gallon going downhill in neutral with a nice tailwind. But I drove it every day back and forth from work, and since the heater didn't work, it had no defrost, and that January or February we got freezing rain. And I remember driving home from work with the freezing rain, even going 40 miles an hour, my windshield would freeze over and I couldn't see anything, so I was stopping every block, scraping the ice off the windshield. And I eventually got the fan motor replaced right about the time it started getting warm. And here in Wichita, our drag strip opens. It was supposed to open at the beginning of March that year, but it was going under construction, new management, everything. And the weekend it was supposed to open, I was driving, this was probably Wednesday, and it opened on Friday night to the public. I was driving across town, and all of a sudden the engine started popping and I lost all kinds of power. It would still drive, but it sounded like someone was making popcorn under the hood. And I had to have it towed home because I didn't want to risk breaking anything else. And I found out after a shop looked at it that it had lost 2 push rods. They just snapped. And after they tore the engine apart, they told me that whoever built it did it the cheapest way possible. It had a massive cam in it that gave it the low-p sound, but they had left the stock rocker arms, and the heads that they used had push-in head studs. So too much lift and head studs that go up and down. The rocker arm was just smashing the top of the push rod, and I either had to buy new heads or just say to hell with it and get rid of it, which unfortunately is what I did, because I just didn't have time for it. The loan payments were killing me, and because my mom, one of her requirements was it had to be a 1-year loan, which $4,500 loan compounded over a year equaled about $500 a month payments, and I was working about 60 hours a week, and the overtime paid for it, but I still had to refinance after 3 months, which only brought the payments down to about $350, plus full coverage insurance was about $200 a month, and it was just killing me with the gas. But I ended up selling it to a guy for $3,500 with the motor in the condition that it was. We replaced the heads or the push rods, but it was still just bound to happen again. And I told the guy about it, but he was still set on buying it. And about 3 months later, he called me back and asked which gear he should drive in. He didn't know if he should drive in third or fourth, just daily commute, just on the street. And I laughed at him a little bit, but that was my first car, and it was perfect. It was great, even with all the little quirks it had, even with the motor blowing. But if I had the chance, I would buy it back in a heartbeat, even with the problems that it had, just to have that feeling again. But oh, that was my first car. Hope you like it.